Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to a brand new video on the SoRare Road to Glory. So in today's episode, what we're going to be doing is reviewing the games that have happened on Friday and Saturday morning for the specialist and underdog investments. Now the reason we're doing this is because last week we showed how lucrative the, the specialist and underdog investments were. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to walk you through everything that we observe. Basically, I want to do this for the next few days. As always, if you guys are interested in joining SoRare, there is a referral link down below. Once winning 5 cards on the bidding market, you will get a free limited card. Don't overpay to get this free limited card. It's only worth about £2 to £7. On top of that, you do have to be 18 to play SoRare because it is real life money, and that real life money is there to be lost as well as it is here to be made. And finally, if you are interested in watching these investments or trading live on Twitch, I stream SoRare from 7 PM every single day. So what we're going to do is we are going to cover Friday's games and the games that happened overnight. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at basically if the players are good for this week for specialists and underdogs. So I'd be buying them on the weekend to go and sell or just before deadline. Or what I'd be doing is looking to buy these players because they're going to set themselves up nicely for the following week. So for example, let's say they're at the moment after the game they've had, let's say on Friday, they had an L5 of 47, so it's decent, but they're about to go and lose a score of 15, which means that there will be a good investment, but obviously it'll be like a 2-week hold rather than a 1-week hold. So what we're going to do, without further ado, using SoRare data, we're going to jump into the game week and walk you guys through a few of the players and games. There's a beautiful thing that we're going to be using, which is the Gameweek Center. This is over on SoRare data. It's amazing. Basically what we do is you head underway to SO5, and then you go Game Week, and it'll give you this right here. Now what you can do is click in the middle and it will show you the scores of all of the players. So for example, you can click on this guy and then we can go and look at all his scores. We can analyse, is he good for this week? Is he going to be good for a gamble for next week? And so on and so on. So at the moment there have been the best part of about maybe 20 games. So what I'm going to do is just talk through a few highlights and players hopefully who could turn into investments. So disclaimer, I will make all the stuff that I'm going to be looking to is going to be the stats side, okay? So if a player is only playing because 2 other centre-backs are injured or, there's something like that, I won't have any knowledge of that because if I was to do that research for every single player, it'd be insane. When I normally critique down my list or get down to my list of investments I go for, I then do injury reports and stuff like that, but just for an overview of looking at like hundreds of players, I'm not going to research every single player on why they got said scores. I've got a rough understanding of where teams rank in the league. But yeah, just understand it's going to be a lot more statistics-based and maths-based rather than it is going to be, player-to-player based. So the Go-Ahead Eagles versus the Willem 2 team was an insane game. Because it was a 4-0 to Go-Ahead Eagles. But you look at the scores off these defenders and you've got a 60.6, an 80.8 and a 51.6. So there's there's loads and loads of crazy scores around here, and I think that, there basically are a few investments. Now the first investment is going to be coming from this guy right here, Leroy Sane. So again, he was on the losing team, but he got a goal line clearance, which obviously gave him a decisive of 60. Now because he gave him a decisive of 60, it did kind of carry the score, which I don't think is the most favourable thing ever, because having not an amazing all-round obviously doesn't, it shows they didn't have a great game. And they're kind of just been carried by a decisive. But nonetheless, what's going to happen is he is going to end up having an L5 of 49.62. What this is going to do is it's going to give him an L5 of 50. His L15 is still under, it will still be under 40. He could have got up to another 6 higher. So he could have got up to 66.6 and still be under an L15 of 40. But so obviously pretty decent L5. Very, very budget player. Now the problem with the Eredivisie is they are on a cup weekend, and as a result of them being on a cup weekend, obviously they're not playing league games, and as a result of not playing league games, they're not going to get an SO5 score, which means if you did want to go and invest in the likes of Leroy Sane, you've got a 2-week hold. So I'm personally not going to be buying at the moment because his market rate's about £7. I think some people probably would have bought into him yesterday. There you go, you can see a few people bought into him yesterday. Again, 2 weeks, I definitely think is, for me, I'm going to wait and I think the price will drop a little bit. On top of that, I don't really want to be holding on to cards for 2 weeks when there's players you can just hold on for 1 week and then use that profit to go and buy these the next week. So common theme is there's actually going to be a fair few players from this game that are good, but again, you're going to have to wait 2 weeks. And another player right here is Matt Digi. Again, this guy's had a really, really good L3. And I think this could actually increase the demand on him over his L5. Obviously, his L5 is, if I can show you right here, like that's the total. His L5 is 50 once again, but because he has such an amazing L3, I think they'll work a little bit more in his favour than someone who has an L5 where it's more spread out. So we come to our good old friend Baz Coupieres, and again, he's averaging a 58.2. The crazy thing with Baz Coupieres as well is, obviously, once again, you know, we've got 2 weeks until these play. But this guy's got absolutely ages of where he'll, you know, should fit under the eligibility, can be used in the underdogs and limiteds. So now I get to the first player that's actually going to play in next week's game week, and that is Domingo Duarte. Now, he didn't actually have an amazing game, pulling in a 39.9, but he doesn't have to worry because he's got that 75 to carry him, he's got a bit of a 58 to carry him, and he doesn't have overly low scores. His L5 averages out at 52.5, which is pretty decent, especially someone who's about £7. I've already got 5 myself. I say, you know, he's not the best in the world. He definitely could have done a lot better. Obviously, if he went and pulled in a 50, I think his average would have generally been something like, I don't know, like 56, 57, which is way more impressive than 52. And like we saw last week, when there were loads of players who had scores of about 52 to 55, they didn't actually rise that much. So, you know, I would have been a little bit more confident if he got a little bit of a higher score. It wasn't the worst in the world, 40, but, you know, I won't be probably going that heavy on this guy. Next player who will be nicely eligible next week is Jefferson. He went and pulled himself a crazy score of 83.5. This guy's L5 averages out at, ignore that, 50, which again is kind of mediocre, but he is a nice cheap player, and again, he is one of the first players this week who is eligible. It's going to be the first of the gambles, and that is Washington Caruso. He went and pulled in a lovely score here of 72.4. And what you can see right here is he's got a 72.4, a 41.4, a 41, a DMP, and a 25.5. Now, what his average is right now is his average will be about 40 odd. But what's going to happen is he's about to lose that score there, which means he gets a DMP, which is nil, and then it's a 41, a 41, and a 72.4, which means he actually averages out right there 51.5. And what's quite nice is he actually plays a game midweek. Now, when does he actually play this game? Because he plays in the CONCACAF Champions League. Now, the problem with him, he's a bit of a sub. So he plays Wednesday, so it gives you Wednesday to Thursday, Thursday to Friday, which can work. But yeah, as I say, at the moment his average will be 51.5. Because at the moment he has a L15 of 34, there's plenty of room. We could probably put it into like 70s and 80s. Just a heads up, and if you guys thought the wait on Eredivisie players was bad for 2 weeks, I believe the K-League's going into a little break because these guys don't play until game week 267, which is about, what, 3-4 weeks away. So, yeah, do just watch out for this. I actually did fall for the Eredivisie, and I did buy a few Baz Coupieres in the excitement and then realised, oh, he doesn't play for a week because of cup games. So, yeah, which is quite interesting, actually, because this Korean team doesn't play until game week 268. But the other Korean team plays in the, I think they've got like an Asian League Championship. So they're actually playing in, well, they actually don't stop playing football, which is kind of crazy. Interesting. Do you know what? I think tomorrow's episode, I'm going to start looking into investing in players for this Asian Champions League. I might even go and run a team myself, because that's 7 game weeks in a row, like... I wonder what's the inflation been like on these players, because obviously they've also issued brand new cards, and because they've issued brand new cards, see, obviously he's had a good game, but there hasn't actually been hype going into this. I think I'm gonna have to look into this. Yeah, especially if they're doing like underdog tournaments, these could be very, very nice because they'll run the midweek underdog and then they'll run the weekend. But yeah, very, very interesting. I didn't realise that until literally just looking now. So we now come to this guy who I believe, if I'm not wrong, actually came from, I think it was Middlesbrough, was it? Or some championship team. Well, he's pulled himself in 3 decent scores here. Sadly, it is him being subbed on against Decisive, which isn't the most favourable. On top of that, he's only got a 60% because obviously he went on a DMP run. But you can only presume that's due to injury because he was out of squad. And yeah, since then he started and been subbed on. But he's got his L5 of 50.43, so sadly he doesn't get 51, but he does get 50. Now he is coming in at 20 quid, but again he is going to be playing every single week for the next 5-6 weeks, so might be a player I go and buy a few of. Again, I'm really interested in looking into this Asia League. It'll definitely be my the video I release tomorrow, but there we go. A player who fits under the the decent L5 and an L15 under 40, and is going to be playing every week for the next 7 weeks. So we are going to end off here. The one player I'm looking at, by the way, is Leroy Sane. Now, the problem is he's not going to get the clean sheet bonus, so hopefully he can pick his game up a little bit, because I believe he's on for a good L5, low L4, L15. So yeah, that's been it. Hopefully it has helped you guys. As I say, tomorrow what we're doing is we'll cover tomorrow's games, and I'll start looking into the Asian Champions League, because again, 5-6 weeks in a row, that is absolutely bliss when it comes to either building even your SO5 teams or investing, at least going into the hype of it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.